The sun's rays filtered through the laboratory blinds, casting long golden stripes across Dr. Elaine Ashton's desk. The neuroscientist had been staring at the same dataset for 3 hours, convinced she had discovered something extraordinary in the numbers. A pattern so unexpected that she needed to verify it multiple times before sharing it with anyone. "This cannot be right," she muttered, pulling her reading glasses off and rubbing her tired eyes. Her office walls were adorned with brain scans showing vibrant color responses in the visual cortex, evidence from the global perception study she had been conducting for the past 7 years. The study began in 2016 as a straightforward investigation into color preference variation across cultures. Dr. Ashton and her team had gathered data from over 42,000 participants spanning 195 countries, using advanced eye-tracking technology, fMRI scans, and meticulous psychological assessments. The original hypothesis was simple: document how cultural influences shape color preferences. Instead, they discovered something that defied conventional understanding of human perception. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Elaine, have you seen the final analysis?" It was her colleague, Dr. Quinn Voss, calling from his neurophysics laboratory at MIT. His voice carried an unusual excitement. "I am looking at it right now," she replied, her finger tracing the pattern in the data. "The correlation is statistically significant across all demographic groups. I have run the numbers 16 times. "I know. I did not believe it either," Dr. Voss said. "But the spectroscopic analysis confirms it. There is something fundamentally universal happening in the visual processing system. Every single human being, regardless of culture, age, or geographical location, responds to the exact same wavelength of light with identical neurological patterns of pleasure. A universal favorite color," Elaine said softly. "But that defies everything we understand about cultural conditioning and personal preference." "Exactly, which is why we need to understand the mechanism behind it." Little did they know, they were about to uncover one of the most remarkable evolutionary quirks in human biology. One that connected our species to the most fundamental aspects of Earth's development and the cosmic forces that shaped life itself. The first breakthrough came when Dr. Ashton's team analyzed the precise wavelength that triggered this universal response. It centered at exactly 475 nanometers, a blue with a slight hint of cyan. This specific color falls within what scientists call true blue, a narrow band in the visual spectrum that humans can perceive with remarkable precision. What made this discovery particularly intriguing was that this wavelength matches the predominant color of Earth's open oceans and clear skies, environments that proved crucial to human evolution. In 2018, evolutionary biologist Dr. Marissa Cortez published findings suggesting that this universal preference might be an evolutionary adaptation. Humans who were attracted to the specific blue were drawn to clean water sources and clear weather conditions, essential for survival. Over thousands of generations, this preference became hardwired into our visual processing system. However, this explanation alone could not account for the extraordinary uniformity of the response across all human populations. Even individuals who had lived their entire lives in desert environments with minimal exposure to large bodies of water showed identical neurological reactions to this specific blue wavelength. The research team expanded their investigation, bringing in experts from diverse scientific fields. Dr. Samuel Hayashi, a quantum physicist specializing in light-matter interactions, noticed something peculiar in their data. The 475 nanometer wavelength coincides with a specific quantum resonance phenomenon in the photoreceptor proteins within human eyes. These proteins' opsins evolved to maximize sensitivity to specific wavelengths of light, Dr. Hayashi explained during a pivotal conference call in late 2019. But what is remarkable is that the molecular structure of our blue-sensitive opsins exhibits quantum coherence properties specifically at 475 nanometers. This suggests that our perception of this particular blue might be enhanced at a quantum mechanical level. This discovery prompted Dr. Ashton to collaborate with paleogeneticists to analyze ancient DNA samples. The results were astonishing. The genetic sequences responsible for these specific blue-sensitive photoreceptors appeared to be remarkably conserved throughout human evolution, with minimal variation compared to other visual genes. The mystery deepened when researchers discovered that this genetic conservation extended back not just thousands, but millions of years. The same opsin structures were present in early hominids and even in certain non-human primates, suggesting that this adaptation predated Homo sapiens by a considerable margin. Dr. Voss proposed a bold hypothesis. What if this is not just about survival advantages related to water and sky? What if there is something more fundamental about this specific wavelength that influenced the evolution of vision itself? This question led the team to explore cosmic influences on terrestrial evolution. They consulted with astrobiologists and planetary scientists, who pointed out a fascinating correlation. During the critical period when vision was evolving in early aquatic organisms approximately 500 million years ago, Earth's oceans and atmosphere filtered sunlight in a way that amplified wavelengths around 475 nanometers. Dr. Julian Winters, an astrobiologist at the SETI Institute, contributed a key insight. The composition of Earth's early atmosphere, combined with the filtering properties of primordial oceans, created a unique light environment during the Cambrian explosion, when complex vision systems were rapidly evolving. The predominant wavelengths that penetrated the water column centered precisely around 475 nanometers. The implications were profound. The very conditions that shaped the evolution of vision on Earth may have permanently encoded this specific blue wavelength as uniquely significant in our visual processing system. But the story became even more fascinating when the team examined the neurological responses in greater detail. The 475 nanometer blue did not just trigger visual pleasure centers. It activated complex neural networks associated with memory, emotional regulation, and even circadian rhythm control. Neuroscientist Dr. Amara Patil conducted extensive EEG and fMRI studies revealing that exposure to this specific blue wavelength produced unique brainwave patterns and stimulated the release of several neurotransmitters, including serotonin, dopamine, and a specific subtype of endorphin that had previously been associated primarily with social bonding. This suggests that our response to this color might have served multiple evolutionary functions, Dr. Patil explained. Beyond helping our ancestors locate water and assess weather conditions, it may have played a role in mood regulation and social cohesion. The social dimension proved particularly intriguing. Anthropological studies conducted by Dr. Frank Reynolds showed that across diverse human cultures, this specific blue has been independently associated with concepts of trust, stability, and group harmony. From ancient Egyptian blue pigments to classical Chinese porcelain glazes, and from Navajo turquoise work to Renaissance Madonna paintings, this precise hue appeared with remarkable consistency in contexts related to spiritual transcendence and social cohesion. What is striking, noted Dr. Reynolds, is that many of these cultures had no contact with each other, yet they independently associated this specific blue with similar concepts. This suggests a universal human response that transcends cultural conditioning. As the research progressed, Dr. Ashton's team discovered another remarkable aspect of this phenomenon. The neurological response to the 475 nanometer blue remained consistent throughout an individual's lifetime, unlike other color preferences that often shift with age and experience. A longitudinal study tracking color preferences in 3,200 individuals over a 25-year period confirmed that while preferences for other colors fluctuated significantly, the positive response to the specific blue remained remarkably stable from early childhood through advanced age. Dr. Voss found this particularly significant. Most sensory preferences show plasticity. They change based on experience and context. The fact that this one does not suggests it operates on a more fundamental level than typical aesthetic preferences. The consistency of this response across human populations and throughout the human lifespan pointed to something even more profound, a connection between human perception and the fundamental physics of our planet and its relationship to our sun. To explore this connection, The research team collaborated with physicists specializing in light-matter interactions. Their investigations revealed another layer to the mystery. The 475 nanometer wavelength corresponds to a critical resonance frequency in the interaction between photons and the water molecules that dominate Earth's surface and atmosphere. Dr. Leila Hamdi, a quantum chemist at CERN, explained, "Water molecules absorb and scatter light in very specific ways, creating what we call optical windows, wavelength ranges where light can penetrate water more effectively. The 475 nanometer range represents one of the most important of these windows, allowing this specific blue light to penetrate deeper into water than almost any other visible wavelength. This property had profound implications for the evolution of vision in aquatic environments. Organisms that could detect this wavelength gained a significant advantage in underwater navigation, predator avoidance, and food location. As vision evolved from simple light-sensing organs to complex eyes, sensitivity to this wavelength became increasingly refined. We are looking at an evolutionary adaptation that predates humans by hundreds of millions of years," Dr. Hamdi said. "The physics of light interaction with water effectively shaped the evolution of vision itself, creating a foundation upon which all subsequent visual adaptations were built." This perspective transformed the research from a study of human color preference into an exploration of how fundamental physics shaped biological evolution and ultimately human perception. The team's findings caught the attention of NASA scientists, who contributed another crucial piece to the puzzle. Earth's position in the solar system and the specific properties of our sun create a unique light environment compared to other potentially habitable planets. Dr. Rafael Morales, an exoplanet researcher at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, analyzed spectral data from stars with known exoplanets in their habitable zones. What we found is that the combination of our sun's specific spectral output and Earth's atmospheric composition creates a relatively unique light environment compared to other potentially habitable worlds. The prominence of the 475 nanometer wavelength in Earth's light environment may be relatively uncommon across the galaxy. This cosmic perspective suggested that the universal human preference for this specific blue might be a product of Earth's particular place in the universe, a direct connection between human perception and the unique physics of our home planet. The research took another fascinating turn when geneticists identified what they termed the blue perception network, a complex interplay of genes that collectively regulate our visual and neurological response to the 475 nanometer wavelength. Dr. Yasmin Kapoor, a leading geneticist at the Broad Institute, led the genetic analysis. We identified a network of 37 genes that work in concert to create this specific perceptual response. What is remarkable is the low genetic variation in these particular genes across human populations, far lower than would be expected by chance. This suggests strong evolutionary pressure to conserve this particular perceptual mechanism. The genetic evidence supported the theory that this was not simply a cultural or psychological phenomenon, but a fundamental aspect of human biology that had been shaped by powerful evolutionary forces over millions of years. To test the universality of this response more thoroughly, Dr. Ashton's team conducted studies with individuals who had been blind from birth but had their sight restored through new medical interventions. Remarkably, these individuals showed the same immediate positive response to the 475 nanometer blue, despite having no previous visual experience or cultural conditioning related to color. This confirms that the response is innate rather than learned, Dr. Ashton noted. Even without any prior visual experience, the human brain is pre-wired to respond positively to this specific wavelength. The team also studied individuals with various forms of color vision deficiency. Even those with specific forms of blue-yellow color blindness showed altered but still positive neurological responses to approximations of this wavelength, suggesting multiple redundant neural pathways for processing this particular color. The medical implications of these findings open new avenues for therapeutic applications. Preliminary studies indicated that controlled exposure to the 475 nanometer wavelength could help regulate mood disorders, improve cognitive function in certain neurodegenerative conditions, and even assist in treating seasonal affective disorder more effectively than broad-spectrum light therapy. Dr. Nicole Chun, a psychiatrist specializing in light therapy, conducted clinical trials using precisely calibrated 475 nanometer light sources. We observed significant improvements in patients with major depressive disorder, with response rates approximately 23% higher than with traditional light therapy protocols. This suggests that this specific wavelength might have unique therapeutic properties. Beyond medicine, the research had implications for environmental design, architecture, and digital interfaces. Studies showed that incorporating this specific blue into living and working environments could improve cognitive performance, reduce stress levels, and enhance overall well-being. Dr. Marcus Hendricks, an environmental psychologist, found that office spaces designed with strategic use of the 475 nanometer blue saw measurable improvements in worker satisfaction, creativity, and productivity. The effect is subtle but statistically significant: a 12% increase in creative problem-solving capacity and a 9% reduction in reported workplace stress. The digital technology sector took particular interest in these findings. Research showed that digital screens calibrated to precisely render this wavelength could reduce eye strain and potentially counteract some of the negative cognitive effects associated with extended screen time. As the research progressed, Dr. Voss developed a novel hypothesis connecting this phenomenon to Earth's geological history. He proposed that the universal human preference for this blue might be connected to the oxygen revolution that transformed Earth approximately 2.4 billion years ago. The Great Oxygenation Event fundamentally changed Earth's atmosphere and oceans, Dr. Voss explained. As oxygen levels rose, the chemistry of Earth's surface was transformed. One consequence was that the oceans and sky became blue. Specifically, the same blue centered around 475 nanometers that we find universally appealing today. This connection suggested that the human affinity for this particular blue might reflect a deep evolutionary relationship with one of the most significant transitions in Earth's history: the shift to an oxygen-rich environment that made complex life possible. To test this hypothesis, the team collaborated with paleoclimatologists to analyze ancient climate records and reconstruct the visual environment of Earth during key periods of evolutionary history. Their findings supported Dr. Voss's theory, showing that as atmospheric oxygen increased, the predominance of the 475 nanometer wavelength in Earth's light environment also increased. We are seeing a direct connection between atmospheric chemistry, the physics of light, and the evolution of visual perception, noted Dr. Ashton. Our universal attraction to this specific blue may be a living fossil of one of the most important transitions in Earth's history. The implications extended beyond Earth. Astronomers had long used the presence of blue in a planet's spectrum as a potential biosignature, an indicator of conditions that might support life. The research suggested a more specific relationship. The particular blue centered at 475 nanometers might be a signature of planets with oxygen-rich atmospheres similar to Earth's. Dr. Morales explained, "When we look for potentially habitable worlds, we are increasingly focusing on the specific spectral signature associated with this blue wavelength. It might be a more precise indicator of Earth-like conditions than we previously realized." The cosmic connection grew even stronger when the team collaborated with astrophysicists studying the specific properties of our Sun. Unlike many stars, our Sun produces a spectral output with a relatively balanced distribution across the visible spectrum. This balance, combined with Earth's atmospheric filtering, creates the conditions that make the 475 nanometer wavelength so prominent in our environment. Dr. Sophia Nicolo, an astrophysicist specializing in stellar evolution, contributed a fascinating perspective. Our Sun is what we classify as a G-type main sequence star, relatively stable and with a spectral output that, when filtered through an oxygen-rich atmosphere, produces this distinctive blue. Not all stars would create the same visual environment on their planets. This suggested that the universal human preference for this specific blue might connect us not just to Earth's geological history, but to the particular star our planet orbits. another cosmic coincidence that shaped human perception. As the research gained prominence, it attracted attention from evolutionary psychologists who proposed additional explanations for why this specific blue might have become universally appealing to humans. Dr. Thomas Richardson suggested that beyond its connection to water and clear skies, this particular blue might have served as a reliable indicator of habitat quality for early humans. Landscapes featuring this specific blue, whether in water bodies, clear skies, or certain mineral formations, often correlated with resources essential for human survival. Over evolutionary time, an innate attraction to this wavelength would have guided humans toward favorable environments. Anthropological studies supported this theory, showing that early human settlements consistently favored locations with access to water sources reflecting the 475 nanometer blue. Archaeological evidence revealed that even prehistoric art showed a special treatment of this color, with some cave paintings dating back 25,000 years using rare blue minerals to depict water and sky. The research took another intriguing turn when the team investigated the relationship between this color perception and human chronobiology, the science of biological rhythms. They discovered that exposure to the 475 nanometer wavelength played a crucial role in regulating human circadian rhythms, particularly during the morning hours when this wavelength is most prominent in natural daylight. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, a chronobiologist at the University of Tokyo, conducted experiments showing that exposure to this specific blue wavelength was more effective at resetting the circadian clock than either broader spectrum light or other isolated wavelengths. This suggests that human circadian rhythms evolved to be particularly responsive to this specific wavelength as a reliable indicator of morning light. This chronobiological connection added another dimension to understanding why this blue might be universally appealing. Exposure to this wavelength not only helped our ancestors find water and assess weather, but also played a crucial role in regulating their sleep-wake cycles, a fundamental aspect of human health and survival. The research continued to expand in unexpected directions. Linguists examining color terms across different languages discovered that terms for this specific blue showed remarkable consistency in their emotional connotations, even in language families with no historical connection. Dr. Elena Cordova, a cognitive linguist, analyzed color terms in 84 languages spanning all major language families. What we found is that terms specifically denoting this 475 nanometer blue consistently carry positive associations related to trust, stability, and tranquility. This cross-linguistic pattern is highly unusual and suggests a universal human response that shapes language development. This linguistic evidence provided another line of support for the universality of the response, showing how it had shaped human culture and communication systems independently across the globe. The phenomenon also appeared to have implications for human social behavior. Social psychologists discovered that environments featuring the 475 nanometer blue facilitated more cooperative behavior and prosocial decision-making in experimental settings. Dr. Jamal Williams conducted a series of economic game experiments in rooms with different color schemes. Participants in rooms where this specific blue was prominent showed a 27% increase in cooperative choices and a 34% increase in altruistic behavior compared to control environments. The effect was consistent across cultural backgrounds. This suggested that beyond individual preference, this specific blue might play a role in human social cohesion, potentially explaining why it appears so consistently in places of social gathering and cooperation across different cultures. The research team also explored connections to the development of human consciousness itself. The evolution of trichromatic color vision in primates, which enables precise perception of this blue wavelength, coincided with significant advances in brain development and social complexity. Dr. Isabel Vargas, a paleoneurologist, proposed that the evolution of neural networks specifically dedicated to processing this wavelength might have contributed to the development of other cognitive capacities. The precision required to distinguish this specific blue may have driven the evolution of more sophisticated visual processing networks, which in turn supported the development of other cognitive abilities. This perspective suggested that our universal response to this blue might be connected to the very cognitive adaptations that make us human, a tangible link between color perception and the evolution of human consciousness. As the research continued to evolve, it increasingly pointed to a profound conclusion. The universal human preference for the 475 nanometer blue represents a living connection between human perception and the fundamental physical, chemical, and biological processes that shaped life on Earth. Dr. Ashton summarized this perspective in a landmark paper published in Nature in 2022. What we are observing is not simply a quirk of human psychology or a cultural coincidence. It is a direct perceptual link to the physics of light, the chemistry of Earth's atmosphere, and the biological processes that made complex life possible. Our universal attraction to this specific blue wavelength connects each of us to the cosmic and geological forces that shaped our planet and our species. This conclusion transformed what began as a simple study of color preferences into a profound exploration of human connection to the universe. A reminder that even our most subjective experiences are shaped by the fundamental properties of the world we inhabit. The research continued to yield new insights and applications. Material scientists developed new pigments and light-emitting materials that could precisely reproduce the 475 nanometer wavelength, leading to innovations in therapeutic lighting, architectural design, and digital displays. Dr. Voss led the development of what he termed chronobiologically optimized lighting systems that adjusted the presence of the 475 nanometer wavelength throughout the day to support healthy circadian rhythms. Preliminary studies in healthcare facilities showed that these systems reduced recovery times and improved patient outcomes. We are essentially recreating the natural light environment that shaped human evolution, Dr. Voss explained. By precisely controlling exposure to this wavelength, we can potentially counteract some of the negative effects of modern indoor living on human health and well-being. The educational implications were equally significant. Research showed that learning environments incorporating this specific blue saw improvements in student attention, information retention, and creative problem-solving. Educational designers began incorporating these insights into classroom design and learning materials. Perhaps most profoundly, the research changed how many people understood their relationship with the natural world. The knowledge that our perception connects us directly to fundamental aspects of Earth's development created a new appreciation for the deep interconnection between human experience and planetary processes. Environmental advocates found that explaining this connection helped people develop a more visceral understanding of their relationship with Earth's natural systems. The universal human response to this specific blue became a powerful metaphor for human dependence on and connection to the health of our planet's atmosphere and oceans. As Dr. Ashton reflected in the conclusion of her book, The Blue Connection, published in 2023, in the end, what we discovered was not just why every human shares the same favorite color, but how that shared preference connects us to each other, to our evolutionary past, and to the planet that made us possible. The 475 nanometer blue that universally moves the human heart and mind is not just a color we see. It is a living link to the light, water, and air that created and sustained life on Earth. The research into this universal human preference continues to evolve, opening new frontiers in our understanding of perception, evolution, and our place in the cosmos. What began as a curiosity about color preferences has become a window into the profound connections between human experience and the fundamental properties of our universe. As we gaze at a clear blue sky or the vast ocean, we are not just admiring a pleasing color. We are responding to a wavelength of light that has shaped life on Earth for hundreds of millions of years. Our universal attraction to the 475 nanometer blue is a living testament to the inseparable bond between human perception and the planet that made us possible. A reminder that even our most subjective experiences are shaped by the cosmic forces that created and sustain life on Earth. In this specific wavelength of blue, science has discovered not just a quirk of human psychology, but a thread connecting each of us to the light, water, and air that made Earth habitable. A tangible link between human consciousness and the fundamental physics of our world. The weird reason every human shares the same favorite color turns out to be not so weird after all, but rather a profound window into our shared evolutionary heritage and our deep connection to the unique planet we call home. The story of the 475-nanometer blue continues to unfold as researchers explore its implications across diverse fields, from medicine to architecture, from digital technology to environmental conservation. What remains constant is the wonder this discovery inspires, the realization that something as seemingly subjective as color preference can connect us so directly to the cosmic and geological forces that shaped our world and our species. In a time when humanity often feels disconnected from nature and from each other, the universal human response to this specific blue wavelength serves as a powerful reminder of our shared biology and our common bond with the planet that sustains us. It is a scientific insight that does not reduce the beauty of human experience but rather enhances it, revealing the profound connections that unite all humans with each other and with the living world around us. As we look to the future, the research into this universal color preference continues to yield new insights and applications, reminding us that even after centuries of scientific inquiry, the natural world still holds remarkable secrets waiting to be discovered. Connections between physics, chemistry, biology, and human experience that can transform how we understand ourselves and our place in the universe. The story of the 475-nanometer blue is ultimately a story about connection between diverse scientific disciplines, between human perception and planetary processes, and between all members of our species across geographical and cultural boundaries. In a single wavelength of light, we have discovered a thread that connects each of us to the fundamental forces that made life on Earth possible, a reminder that in our deepest perceptual responses, we remain intimately bound to the planet that shaped us and to each other.